Thank you, Kevin. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this fact, he did not come from the media, I know that for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, and once again, on behalf of our 14 head football coaches and our 42 players who we will meet this week, welcome to the 30th edition of the SEC Media Days. Those of you who know me know that I am a bit of a history buff. It was on this day in 1968 that the great Hank Aaron hit his 500th home run, a 3-run shot off Mike McCormick for a 4-2 win over the San Francisco Giants. It was also on this day in 1968 that I married my beautiful bride, Liz. So with all due respect to Hammerin' Hank, he only hit a 3-run homer on this day 46 years ago, but I hit a grand slam. Liz is here today in the back of the room. Happy anniversary, honey, and it's been an incredible journey for nearly a half a century. And speaking of journeys, this past year, our student athletes traveled down a road paved with achievements and accolades, which brings me to my annual SEC brag bag. As Muhammad Ali said, it's not bragging if you can back it up. The accomplishments of our teams and our student athletes do just that. Conference teams won 7 national championships in the sports of men's golf, gymnastics, equestrian, men's swimming, women's swimming and diving, women's outdoor track and field, softball and baseball, along with 6 national runners-up finishes. In addition, the SEC finished in the top 5 in 13 of the 21 sports we sponsor. We competed for our 8th consecutive football national championship. The game was just a minute too long. We played in the NCAA men's basketball tournament final. We won the college softball and baseball World Series. During the past 3 years, half of the conference teams have played in national championship games in football, men's basketball, and baseball. And speaking of baseball, the SEC has won the national championship 4 of the last 6 years. In the last 7 years, the SEC has played in the College World Series final with 6 different teams. And in terms of individual awards, Alabama gymnast Kim Jacob won the prestigious Honda Cup, the highest honor presented to a female student athlete, recognizing achievements in the gym, in the classroom, and in the community. In June, the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association awarded the Dick Hauser National Player of the Year trophy to Kentucky's A.J. Reed. The award, known as the Baseball Heisman, recognized A.J. for his play on the field in 2 positions and his success in the classroom. Florida softball student athlete Hannah Rogers led Florida to its first national championship in softball, and she was named the College World Series Most Outstanding Player. Both A.J. and Hannah were named the Roy Kramer Athletes of the Year this year, as voted by our league's athletic directors. 12 years ago, when I became the commissioner of the SEC, one of my goals was to build a bridge to prepare the conference for its future. What we do today, how we handle our successes and meet our challenges, will determine the SEC of tomorrow. Much of this bridge is in place, including implementing strategies to build a culture of compliance, increasing diversity, as shown in the hiring of our first minority head football coaches, creating new academic initiatives embodied by SECU, enhancing the conference's national exposure to significant conference with the addition of Texas A&M. This past year, strengthening this bridge by finalizing our Notre Dame, Michigan, UCLA, selection of available SEC teams after the college football playoff, the Sugar Bowl, and in some years, the Orange Bowl. Once these selections are made, 6 bowls, the Belk Bowl, the Elvisville Liberty Bowl, the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl, the Outback Bowl, the Tax Slayer Bowl, and the Advocare Texas Bowl, will constitute a pool. The conference will assign teams to each of these games, rather than doing it the old-fashioned way where the bowl selected the teams. Before making that final decision, the conference will consult with our institutions and with the bowls, but the decision will be ours. We also have agreements with the Birmingham Bowl and the Duck Commander Independence Bowl. We all know how passionate SEC fans are, whether watching games in our stadiums or at our home. The facts bear this out. For the 16th consecutive year, the conference led the country in attendance, averaging nearly 76,000 fans per game. Over 7.5 million fans went to our game, setting the we can measure over time what the expectation is for the greatest fans in America. It's hard for me to believe, but exactly 1 month from today, August 4th, the SEC Network will make its debut. Today, providers of the SEC Network include AT&T Uverse and the Dish Network, making the SEC Network available to everyone nationwide. Last week, we were pleased to announce the addition of ongoing significant conversations with other major providers. So this is a commercial. I strongly encourage anyone interested in the SEC Network to visit getsecnetwork.com. Live events will be the focus of the network. Each Saturday during the season, we will televise 3 football games, our triple header. We will kick off the football season with a doubleheader on Thursday night. SEC student and Booger. The network features SEC a signature 2-hour on-site pre-game show. The show will originate from a different SEC campus every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. The SEC Nation will be hosted by Joe Tessitore, along with former student athletes with him, Tim Tebow and Marcus Spears, along with Paul Feinbaum. Even though we're talking about football and it's football season, football is just one of the sports the network will cover. In our first year alone, we will carry more than 100 men's basketball games, 60 women's basketball games, 75 baseball games, and 50 softball games. In addition, we will carry much of the SEC men's and women's basketball tournaments, as well as SEC softball and baseball tournaments. And then needless to say, throughout the week, we'll have additional programming, including re-airs, highlights, classic games, many of the press conferences of our football coaches, the Paul Feinbaum Show, and a slate of other things yet to be announced. SEC Story, the conference's documentary series, will provide the network with new and compelling original programming. We plan to air 4 new films within the first month. The stories include a range of topics, profiles of some notable and colorful SEC fans, a film about the legendary trio of Bo, Barkley, and the Big Hurt, a film about Coach Spurrier, and a film about Chucky Mullins and Brad Gaines. Justin Conley, ESPN Senior Vice President and General Manager of the network, will be here with you on Wednesday morning at 10:30 to share further news about the SEC network. While focused on the SEC and the achievements of our teams and student athletes, we are actively involved in the national issues that impact all of intercollegiate athletics. It's an historic time. We continue to believe the uniquely American endeavor of intercollegiate athletics is properly supported on our campuses as an integral and important part of higher education. Although we must be willing to make appropriate changes in intercollegiate athletics, education must remain at the core of what we do. We must keep athletics and academics properly integrated and ensure that our university's educational missions are fulfilled. Florida's basketball player Patrick Young is an example of a student athlete who has made the most of his collegiate academic and athletic experience. He led the Gators to the 2014 SEC men's basketball tournament title and the NCAA Final Four, was named the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year twice, was named the SEC male winner of the Brad Davis Community Service Award, and then he traveled to Africa, where he encouraged children to focus on exercise and healthy lifestyle. And while doing all of that, Patrick maintained a 3.4 grade point average. Student athletes like Patrick, as well as many other student athletes like him, inspire us to protect intercollegiate athletics, to keep it healthy, vibrant, and an integral part of higher education. We do this for the young men and women who seek an education, compete in sports, and ultimately make a difference in people's lives. This is why it is critical for the NCAA to change, and to change in accordance with the vision proposed for the 21st century by the 5 conferences. This is one important way we will be able to provide academic and athletic opportunities for the generations of Patricks yet to come. We are not deaf to the din of discontent across intercollegiate athletics that has dominated the news. In the words of former President Dwight David Eisenhower, and I quote, "Neither a wise man nor a brave man lies down on the tracks of history to wait for the train of the future to run over him." End quote. With Eisenhower's admonition in mind, we have created the initiative to restructure the NCAA in accordance with our vision for the 21st century, with the support of student-athlete at its core. The educational and cultural significance of intercollegiate athletics is far too important for us not to seek positive solutions to existing challenges. This is why we have been actively engaged in building a bridge to provide a needed avenue of change for the NCAA with the primary objective of enhancing the support enjoyed by Division I student athletes while maintaining and preserving the collegiate model. Winston Churchill wrote that, quote, "continuous effort is the key to unlocking our potential," end quote. The world of intercollegiate athletics is full of potential, and I am certain that our efforts today will ensure its future for tomorrow. And for those of you who have been here before, this is not a new effort on our part. The SEC's call for change was introduced at Media Days in 2011, and will continue until we realize the desired outcomes. Over the last year, we, along with our colleagues at the ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, and Pac-12, developed this new vision for intercollegiate athletics for the 21st century. The vision includes the NCAA's enactment of a governance system that will provide greater autonomy for the SEC and the other four conferences for the benefit of student athletes. The ongoing review of the NCAA governance structure is intended to provide for the introduction of new strategies and new ideas. With a new structure in place, amongst other goals, we seek to support the educational needs of our student athletes through the provisions of scholarships linked to cost of attendance, rather than the historic model of tuition, room, board, fees, and books. To enhance the opportunity to support a quality undergraduate education for our student athletes, both during their playing years and beyond if needed. To better assist student athletes seeking to transition from college athletics into the world of professional sport. And to expand the existing health and wellness support provided to student athletes. This is a very small, partial list of what we hope and dream to accomplish. As I have said before, if we do not achieve a positive outcome under the existing Big Ten of Division I, we will need to consider the establishment of a venue with similar conferences and institutions where we can enact the desired changes in the best interest of our student athletes. The NCAA's Division I Board of Directors has invested significant time and effort in the restructuring process. The Steering Committee on Governance will soon issue its final recommendations to the full NCAA Board for consideration in a meeting and a vote scheduled for August 7th, so we will know soon. It's important that the NCAA Governance Steering Committee continue its support for autonomous decision-making among the five conferences, including proper voting thresholds to allow for the enactment of meaningful change. While acknowledging the angst among some conferences and institutions in Division I remain optimistic that working together, we can create a framework that places the academic and athletic success of the student athlete front and center. It's an exciting time for me, for college sports, and for the SEC. The challenges that lay ahead, in my view, are not obstacles, but really opportunities to forge a bridge and to make the road to the future stronger for everyone involved in intercollegiate athletics. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does." We see the truth of Mr. Mandela's statement in numerous ways in college athletics. Our athletics programs provide fundamental lessons in leadership and teamwork that have an irreplaceable role in the greater world of business, government, military, and academic pursuits. Title IX has had a tremendous and positive effect, with impacts extending well beyond the playing field. College athletics has played and continues to play an important role in racial integration in our country. College athletics has a unique power to change lives. We support reform but it is essential that reform be implemented in a way that preserves the positive role that college athletics plays in the lives of our student athletes, other students, and society at large. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate each of you being here today. If you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to call on any member of our communications staff. As always, I wish you a productive and interesting week, and as always, may the muse be with you